Morning everybody, my name's Steve Coker. I'm a past president of the Culver City Garden Club, and it's the third week in April 2020. We're here in Los Angeles, urban Los Angeles. We're about halfway between downtown LA and Santa Monica and the beach, and I wanted to show you my freeway garden. Caltrans has an Adopt-A-Highway program, and you can do it for wildflower planting. I'm the only one in Los Angeles who has done it. I've been doing it as a guerrilla gardener without permission for about 25 years, although Caltrans gave me a key about 20 years ago. I have a home right next to the freeway, which has been my inspiration. We've lived here since before the freeway was built in the early 1960s. And I just kind of wanted to show you the potential. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not a garden professional. I'm not a landscaper or a nurseryman or anything. I'm an accountant, but this is my hobby. And right now we're at about peak bloom. It's 61 degrees here right now, but we've been told by Saturday it will be 90. So I wanted to really show everybody what's going on here before the serious heat comes and dries up everything. So let me show you a little bit of a before picture. This is an area. Let me back up a little bit. Go across the street. This is kind of like the freeway normally. It's a freeway embankment. There's a sound wall that divides the actual roadway between the embankment, and then on the other side of the street is all residential. Just all our homes. Mine's one of the corner ones down at the end there. And pretty much it was built here in the early 60s. Around 2000, Caltrans notified us that the plants that were planted in the early 60s had come to the end of their normal life, and so they had a replanting. They bulldozed almost everything here, except the tallest eucalyptus or palm trees. Put in an irrigation system, put in a lot of plants, a lot of let's see, false oleander bushes, gold medallion trees that have clusters of lemon yellow flowers in July. I actually got the whole schematic. I requested it and they gave it to me. Blue plumbago, which get really huge. Bottle brushes. So, but I've been gardening it for about 25 years. Right before they did the planting plan, I actually tried to adopt it formally and was turned down because they were about to do it. They said come back in 3 years. I came back in 3 years and they said come back in 2 more years, and at that point I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it without permission. I have a key, I have access. I first got in here when a drunk driver hit the fence and left a hole for a long time. And everybody knows me. The Times did an article on me in 2003 all about it. So, but this now 17 years later, I'm still going strong, and I wanted to show you what's in bloom. So let's get started. Let me wait for this car to go by. Caltrans normally comes through here about once a year. They clean up everything. They actually herbicided this area from here on down. So I've stopped gardening here. You'll see a couple of flowers from my past efforts, a few cosmos, blue lupins, and everything. But there's trash. Somebody overnight dumped some clothing here on the sidewalk. But this is where I'm starting, or where I have started. I brought a weed whacker in here and taken out a lot of the weeds. I did some planting of poppies. You can just see kind of strips there about 2 months ago. And so let's start. Lots of California poppies. This is what I started with. At first, I only did poppies. I've got blue lupins. Let me tell you a little bit about the plants in general over here. They have to meet certain requirements, my requirements and Caltrans requirements. Caltrans requirements are, they said don't put in any trees, don't put in any water plants because we don't want mosquitoes. Don't put anything with thorns because when we have workers over here, we don't want to, you know, put them in danger. And no edibles because we don't want people over here. We don't want like fruit trees dropping fruit and then bringing flies. We don't want people climbing the fence to eat things, everything. So those are Caltrans rules. Here are my rules. Has to be drought tolerant, take full sun, has to be pest resistant and disease resistant. So there's actually 3 types of plants here. Plants that Caltrans have put in, plants that have voluntarily come in. You'll see one of those right here, this lantana. It just gets bigger and bigger and I keep cutting it back, and there's another one over there. So, and then plants that I put in. So this is an area right here. This, until this past weekend, was what I call the tunnel of lupins. I started planting on the freeway side, and over the years the seeds decide to go their own direction through birds or wind or whatever. So this year, even though I didn't plant it, in the crack right here on the sidewalk, I just had tons of lupin for an entire house length. So they're finishing up. I took out a bunch right here, but here are some that are still in bloom. The bees love them. And I've left a couple of dandelions in here, you'll see that. But I've only been doing this with permission now, with my permit, for the last year. And what Caltrans wants is they don't want anything planted within 8 feet of the fence. So I used to do right up against the fence. You'll still see a lot of stuff right on the very edge. But I've made a concerted effort to now make wider pathways on the freeway side. So, but we had some substantial rain about a month ago, and it brought up a second wave of flowers. So this is one little area that I've left, as I said, a lot of the dandelions. The birds are always up in here. They love it. Some of the area is really overgrown with asparagus fern. This is an area I haven't formally adopted yet. I've been trying to see if I can handle it because it's a lot of work. But further down, I have formally adopted next to several properties, including my own family's. So we've got blue lupins. They have started going to seed. You can see here some of the seed pods right here. Right here. These still have seeds in them. And these seed pods have bursted. They popped open. The seeds have probably dropped to the ground. So I welcome anybody who wants to come and collect some of them. There's a bee. So let's see, here are some of the California poppies. They have spilled over into the sidewalk. If you come here, right now it's April and everything's in full bloom. If you come in here in August, all of this will be gone. This will be completely barren. We've got some lantana, purple. Here we've got some, these are already finished, but these were chasmanth bulbs. They were orange, tubular. Hummingbirds love tubular plants. Bottle brushes that Caltrans put in. Here we've got some mountain garland. They come in various colors, pinks, shades of purple. And let's see, we've also got some globegelia, these blue flowers right here. And let me give you a close-up of the mountain garland. Very pretty. I grow almost everything here from seed. I mail order purchase seeds from a place called Wild Seed Farms. They're in Fredericksburg, Texas. which is appropriate because one of my inspirations for doing a lot of this was Lady Bird Johnson, President Johnson's wife. Each president's wife seems to have a cause that they promote, and hers was beautification of roadways, so it's quite appropriate. There's actually a foundation in Texas that promotes scenic highways. We have a wisteria vine right here. Caltrans keeps cutting this down. I wish you could smell it. It smells wonderful. There's a giant one in the Glendale, Pasadena area that is 3 properties wide. It's quite well known. It brings in people every year. Right now we're in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic, so everything's kind of shut down. So it's a little quieter here than normal, but I can still access the freeway. A Lavaterra bicolor bush. Started as one, now it's multiple. You can see the flowers right there. And spurred snapdragons. I love these. They take a little bit more water. They come in lots of colors. Favorites are the purples and the pinks. Oh, there's one of the chesmats. Let's see if you can zoom in. It's kind of hard to do this between the chain link fence. Here we go. So I spent a lot of time weed whacking over here. I have an electric rechargeable weed whacker, and weeding is the majority of the work over here. Here's some more lantana. Caltrans actually put these in. These are called spreading sunshine. But it gets overpowered by the other lantana, the pink and yellow kind. They just take over. Here we've got some what are called purple tansy, again grown from seed. Another wildflower. Okay, there's certain things that really get weedy. One of them is morning glories. And here we've got quite a few. I try to keep them off the fence. I like the darker colors. I don't really like pastel in the garden. I like bold colors. Morning glories open and close every day. Another thing that's extremely weedy, nasturtiums. I love the colors. I love yellows and oranges. But they get a little out of control. So technically nasturtiums are edible. Like I said earlier, they're not allowed to grow edible stuff over here. I don't grow them to eat them. We do have a cactus over in here that some of the neighbors really like to eat these. I don't support that, but if they want to, I can't really stop them. There is lead in the soil over here. This freeway was built, as I said, in the early 1960s, and at that time, leaded gas was the standard. So there is lead in the soil. I actually got tested once for lead years ago. I had normal levels after working on here. I do wear gloves most of the time over in here. I've used everything from a rototiller to a lawnmower over the years, but now it's pretty much just all by hand and the electric string trimmer. This is a succulent that I put in, about no more than 2 years ago. I got cuttings from a neighbor who posted something on Nextdoor a few miles away. I said, I've got cuttings if anybody wants them. I took 4 thinking, okay, I can probably successfully root one of the 4. All 4 of them survived. And I'm starting to see this, I don't know the name of it, but I'm starting to see it in in gardens in Southern California. It spreads. So one nice thing is here, there's a lot of stuff you can't really grow in the typical home in Los Angeles, but because they get too big, but you can grow them here. Here's one of them. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. Matalea poppy or Matilija poppy. I think it's Matalea poppy. It's not in bloom right now, but when it is in bloom, it has giant flowers that look like big fried eggs, and they're about the size of fried eggs too. So when I originally planted this, I put it in the wrong place. It didn't get enough sun, but the tree behind it, which used to shade it, died, and Caltrans removed it, and so now it's in a sunnier spot, so we're actually getting bloom more frequently. Here's some more of the spurred snapdragon. I do save seeds from year to year. It doesn't cost me very much. I think I spent $20 in seeds last year. Most of them come back. I just kind of buy what I want. Certain things overpower, like I said, so I try to buy the smaller stuff that gets overpowered and give them more of a fighting chance. We've got Gaillardia here. The two mixes that I generally buy, Wild Seed Farm sells a Western Wildflower mix, and I started with that, and I've kind of switched over to the Butterfly Hummingbird mix. I like that a lot. It has less lupins, which the lupins take over quite a bit. The red flower, you see the orange California poppies. The red ones are Scarlet Flax. These are a pretty hardy plant. I've got waves of these in a couple spots, including my front yard. You can actually grow Alstroemeria over here. There's, if you're an avid gardener, you probably know what they are. You generally only see them in florist arrangements, but they're very pretty, and they've actually naturalized over here. I've got a hibiscus over here, Nagao 20. You'll forgive me if over the years there are certain plants that I put in that I've forgotten the name of. This is one of them. It's got blue tubular flowers. I don't know if you can see it very well. In terms of watering over here, it's mostly rainfall. Certain areas I will go in with a watering can. I did that this morning because I wanted one last irrigation before it turns 90 degrees in 5 days from now, as the meteorologists are predicting. Purple ones here are Phacelia, I believe. Purple tansy, I already talked about that one. Okay, again, this is a plant that I put in years ago. I don't know the name of it, but it is a California wildflower. I got it from the Theodore Payne Foundation. They're the preeminent native plant nursery in Southern California. It's got yellow tubular flowers. I apologize for a lot of this. It's hard to do this through the chain link fence. We're actually going to go on the other side of the freeway, or the other side of the fence in a moment. So this is next to my own house. So this is a little more intense. I used to just do next to the fence itself, but now that I have a formal adoption, I'm starting to go up the slopes a little bit. A lot of what Caltrans planted in their renovation almost 20 years ago died because the sprinkler systems got turned off. We had a brush fire about 4 years ago, and it burned up some of the control valves, it burned up some of the PVC pipes, so they turned off the sprinkler system, and it's been off ever since. So, let me show you another hibiscus that I put in. I used to collect hibiscus. It's an orange one. I believe that's the variety Empire. And got another hibiscus here, not in bloom, a Rose of Sharon. What is in bloom are some oriental poppies. The bees love these, so do I. I've got some, there's a pink one right here, there's a red one down here in the backyard. Just this morning I saw a deep purple one. bloom, so I'm going to be saving seed for that. Try to bring that over here. So here we go. I've gone up the slope. We got cosmos right here. We had a swarm of painted lady butterflies last year come through. They really love the cosmos. And then I've got a couple of perennial plants. I've got a Mexican bush sage in there. I've got some butterfly weed. I just let's see if I can zoom in on the butterfly weed. Let's see. There we go. I think that's it. Clusters of orange flowers. I don't know what these yellow flowers are. They were in the mix that I got, and I looked up and I couldn't find something that couldn't figure out what that was. Mountain garland. Oh, wait a minute, before we get the mountain garland, larkspur. They're the annual form of delphiniums. These are just starting to bloom. Certain things, this little section right here, I actually started in 6-packs last year. So, and then this year, and then transplanted. Usually I do it in place, but these are the ones that get, as I said, certain plants are dominant. These are not. So I kind of give them a little extra care. I also put in some new cosmos recently. So this is a unique year. We kind of have almost a second bloom coming because we had our normal rains in January, and then normally we get rain in February, and we didn't get it this year. So come, I believe, the end of March, we had a second rain. So I had things popping up in the pathways from that late rain, almost like a second coming of all the wildflowers. So if you look way up there, you can see some scarlet flax near the top. I've also put in a Jerusalem sage. Let's see, there's a verbena. It's not really big enough to see, but the butterflies love that. Guerilla tricolor. This is a pretty little wildflower. If you look closely, you can see the pollen on the plant is blue. I've been told it's the only flower that has blue pollen. And then more of the mountain garland. Baby blue eyes in here. And then morning glories. This is one little area. I love this deep purple morning glory, so I've let them grow up a couple of fence lengths here. It takes a long time to remove them, but I'm trying to have them and not let them get completely out of control. So let's go over to the other side. I want to give you a feeling what it's like and see a few things up close. I unlocked the gate here earlier. As I said, I have a key. This big thing is a litter collection device. It collects litter from the roadway before it goes down into the drain pipe. We used to have everything go into the street. Cigarette butts, styrofoam, everything, every time it rained, but the litter collection device now collects all that. So here we are on this side. I normally keep some really good pathways, but if something I want to keep seed from pops up accidentally, I kind of let it. So this pathway is a little more filled than I prefer. Malva. This is something I've been growing for years. I collected the seeds. Malva murrieta. I remember the name. It gets pretty tall. I'd say about 5 feet. Just gorgeous color. I have more than I thought this year. So, oh, I do leave dandelions, the tall ones, for the birds. I saw a bunch of birds in here, yellow-breasted ones, yesterday. As soon as the yellow flowers turn white, they love to start collecting them and eating them. So it's hard to keep a balance between weeds and flowers. I do try to take a lot of them out, but not so many that the birds don't have a place to eat. Morning glories. yeah, this is an area I have to clean up. So let's walk on down here. This is a Cape honeysuckle plant I put in. I love these. The hummingbirds love these. It's drought tolerant, no pests, no disease, takes full sun. It's what I call a bulletproof plant. It does get big though, but again, it has room over here. I've got a couple of those in our yard at home. That's my house across the street. I did a video yesterday of the front yard. So here's where the nasturtiums are going a little nuts. And there's some lupins mixed in with them. Scarlet flax. More nasturtiums. These mountain garland got planted late in the season, so they haven't started blooming yet. I see one just starting to bloom right here. Oh, there's another one. Okay, and here's a slope that I've been doing for a while. Lots of blue lupins. More of the Guerilla tricolor. I planted some calendula. There's one of them. There's the first bloom. I saw somebody picking a bunch of these the other day, before the leaves, before they were not the flowers. I don't know why. More of the spurred snapdragon. See, I love colors like this. Look at that. Look at the purple. My goal these days, since I got my permit, is to start going up the slope. Stay away. So you'll start seeing areas that I haven't really done except for the last year. That's coming up here. This little area up here. I don't know what this is. A neighbor told me it's edible. It's got pretty yellow, lemon yellow flowers. And you can see the seed pods right here. So it does get big. There was a whole row of them. I took out several of them this year, but they will get big. Lantana, I did not plant this. I do trim it. See, this is kind of a newer area. You can just start seeing some little seedlings that I put in. Some California poppies, cosmos. Here's an echium. Most people know the Pride of Madeira. It's a blue one. But we started getting one that was kind of, it looks white from here, but when it blooms, we had a little bit of a pink color in here. So the bees, again, love this plant. But I'm trying to move things from the fence over into the slope. So here's a plant called bulbine, another one that bees love. This one has yellow flowers. There's actually an orange one in here mixed in on the edge here, but you see the yellows right there. It's a succulent. If you look at the leaves, you can see they're like aloe. So this one needs a little extra water. I bring watering cans over here. There's another one. This area is, there's no more sound wall up here because instead of next to a residence now, we're next to a business. So Caltrans does not, when they built the freeway, they didn't include the sound wall. That was added later. So there is a barrier up there, a concrete barrier. And here's what Caltrans put in, the blue plumbago. Gets huge, big as a house. here's an area, Caltrans, I haven't really done much over here yet, other than keep it clear. Caltrans came through here about a year ago and took out everything. This is where we had the fire a few years ago. We never did find out why it started, but it burned quite a big space. And I promised Caltrans if they didn't herbicide it, that I would keep it maintained. So that's why I'm in here. This is actually not part of my formal adoption, but I do come in here since I promised, and they seem to appreciate the effort. So a lot of dandelions for the birds, but I've been up here several times in the last few days. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the tour. It's I kind of want to show people the potential. We seem to have done a lot of renovation among the LA River. People realize that you can have bike paths and scenic areas and walking areas, so we've kind of looked and said, hey, we can do something with this concrete strip that people used to think was worthless, and I'm hoping that we can kind of do that same thing with the freeway. I hope I've inspired a few people. Go ahead, and if I tell people, start small. You can do this in your yard with wildflower planting. You don't have to have a freeway, but if you happen to live next to a freeway and want to do a little spot adoption, you can do a permit. Doesn't cost anything. You do have to, as I said, there is quite a bit of paperwork. You have to give them planting plans. They even asked a list of the weeds I would be removing, which I thought was kind of funny since I don't usually name the weeds. I don't know if there's feral cats up in here. We get possums, and occasional raccoon, bees, butterflies. It's still early in the day, so we haven't really seen a lot of bees today, or butterflies. But they are over here, so we really like it. The neighbors really enjoy it. I get a lot of feedback from people, and so they appreciate all the work. And it's pretty much one person. It's me 99.9% of the time. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, and hope you enjoyed the tour.